into the Sean podcast. You got me, the Big Ush, and you got my man over here, the Cat Daddy. Cat Daddy, what's on your mind?
Man, another week of fantasy football, another victory into the win column for me. I'm now sitting at 3-1. But what's on my mind is we're at the point in the season where you guys start thinking, is my bench deep enough? Is my bench ready? Because what have we been seeing the first 4 weeks of the year? Injury on top of injury on top of injury. Now your draft can only get you so far. But you need to think, how's my bench looking? Do I need to go to the waiver wire to add this position? Because if I have somebody like Joe Mixon, like I do, I'm thinking, well, I need at least a short-term option for running back for the next couple of weeks until I'm convinced he's back healthy. Now, Cincinnati says he's day-to-day, but my Facebook medical degree says it's probably week-to-week. So, hope you got a deep bench. But today we're going to present to you our trust and don't trust. But before we do that, we have to recap last week, right?
Well, we're gonna recap in a certain way.
Ooh.
So first part of this, I'm gonna go to something we did last week. I just want to get your opinion on a few players. I got some players queued up, some players that could be out there for people to pick up, and I just want to get your thoughts.
Well, I was wrong on AJ Green apparently. So let's see what we got this week.
All right, first up, we got a couple of QBs. Are they worth a pickup? Jared Goff. Yeah, I'm going right into it.
I'm going to say no for Jared Goff because I don't believe that there are sufficient wide receiver talent on the roster to sustain his success.
Don't believe in Quintez Cephas and Amon St. Brown.
TJ Hawkinson or bust.
All right. Taylor Heineke.
Oh, man. Washington has the talent. I would feel better with Heineke if it were streaming option. I don't want him on my team for several weeks. But with the talent that Washington has, and I'm trying to think, who do they play coming up? Who's on their schedule?
Next up, I believe, is who are they playing next? I don't even remember.
I know, we just did this whole series. Well, whomever. Short-term option, I would trust Heineke more than I would Goff.
All right, next up. If you were to take one of the San Francisco quarterbacks, which one? Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance?
Tough questions to start this segment. Oh, man. Are we talking... We're not talking about this week. We're talking like rest of season.
I'm talking about rest of the season.
Rest of the season, as much as I don't think Trey Lance is ready from a winning game from a field perspective, I think he has the talent and the ability, rushing ability too, to put up fantasy points for you. So if it's Lance or Garoppolo, I'm going with Trey Lance.
All right, so I'm switching gears to the recap for quarterbacks, and it's a different type of recap. I'm going to ask you, which of these guys do you think are legit options to start, or was week 4 just week 4? just throwing new segments at you and making you think.
All right, come on. What do we got? Who's first?
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. I like Daniel Jones more this year than I have in previous years. I like him.
All right. So legit start, huh?
I'll probably be proven wrong for that, but yeah, we'll go with yes.
All right, next up, Sam Darnold.
I don't trust Darnold quite as much without the weapon of Christian McCaffrey and the versatility that he can add to the offense. I know he still have weapons there, most notably DJ Moore,
All right.
but I don't trust Sam Darnold as much. No.
Lastly, we have Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan traveling to London. Man, I think I've been wrong with every Atlanta player this year because I was high on Calvin Ridley, high on Kyle Pitts. I think the one I've got right so far is Mike Davis. I wasn't high on him, and that one's worked out pretty well for me. But anything that's passing related for Atlanta, I have been wrong with. And Atlanta has no other option but to go with Matt Ryan.
Right.
The probability at some point he's got to get something
But
right.
would you start Matt Ryan?
This week?
Just in general. Is he someone you would trust?
No.
Okay.
He hasn't shown it to me this year. Hasn't shown it.
Moving on. Same segment for wide receivers because I don't really have. Oh wait, no, I do have a wide receiver. One wide receiver. How you feel about it? Was this week a fluke, or should people run and smash the pickups? We already have the answer to this because you already answered this because you already talked about this team. But what's his first name? Because I don't know it. Khalif Raymond of the Detroit Lions. How we feel?
I would not go anywhere near the smash button. I wouldn't even go near tread cautiously. I don't trust the Detroit passing game if it's not TJ Hawkinson. I have little trust in Cephas to the point where I almost picked him up in a 12-team league that's PPR that starts 3 wide receivers. Almost did. But I have a hard time trusting that one, so I would stay away.
All right, I got a couple more. All right, the next 2 would be so much fun. So we have the New York Giants wide receiver, John Ross.
John Ross, man, when's the last time we heard from him?
Been a while. How do you feel about this guy?
I think it's something to keep an eye on because Shepard didn't play, Darius Slayton didn't play. You gave Kadarius Toney some more looks. Kenny Galladay's been performing better. Evan Engram disappointed, which we both expected, but we'll talk about that one shortly. So I think having John Ross out there, it's something to watch, but if those New York wide receivers get healthy, I don't think he has much value. So if you're asking me right now, do I pick him up or leave him out there? Leave him. I would leave him.
Funny thing you said, Kadarius Toney.
He finally has more receiving yards than I do. It took him a couple weeks.
How do you feel about picking him up?
In a deeper league, it's tempting. I'm not opposed to it. In our league, I'm tempted to pick him up, but I already have Kenny Galladay, and I just really have a hard time stacking 2 New York wide receivers in my lineup. I don't think the offense will support that, but he's intriguing now that Slayton and Shepard are a little banged up.
So I got a couple guys here. It's like, all right, so we going forward with these guys? Are these guys mirages? So 1 week wonders? Are these guys that you can plug and play?
All right, who do we got first?
Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb's like Chumbawamba. That's
Van Jefferson.
for those of you who weren't listening to music in the 90s. That's a one-hit wonder. We're gonna pass on Randall Cobb.
Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson. I really like Van Jefferson this year. I know that saying, I almost said St. Louis, and I just did say St. Louis. I know that Los Angeles Ram wide receiver group is stacked. You got Cooper Kupp, you got Robert Woods, you have Deshaun Jackson, but Van Jefferson is really intriguing for me. I don't think it's mirage. I think it's something to, if you have a roster spot that you could spare, that's not terribly important, pick him up.
All right. Darnell Mooney.
I'm going to say pick him up because I think he's going to draw more targets with Justin Fields, and they're going to be
Would you start him?
Start him.
This is starter sit type stuff.
Start him. Is it PPR league?
Let's say yes.
Yes. I would feel better about Darnell Mooney than with something like Mecole Hardman.
All right, one more. Laviska Shenault.
Now, it depends on who's the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I still don't think that Urban Meyer knows how to properly use Laviska Shenault, and until he can show it to me, I can't start him.
All right, I've got three guys here. All right, these are the pickups. All right. Alex Collins.
All right, now is this something like, should you pick him up?
Yes.
So Chris Carson has a little bit of a hamstring injury, which, man, I don't trust completely Chris Carson. I'd pick him up.
Darrell Williams.
We're talking Bears here, right?
No, that's Damian Williams. Darrell's on KC.
He did good a couple of years ago. He did
Got one
pretty
more.
well.
Jeremy McNichols.
Is that Tennessee?
Yes, it is.
Let's be real here. If it's not Derrick Henry and you're not in the keeper league,
It's a lot of receptions.
How many's a lot?
This past week, he got 8.
Yeah, but I mean, are we thinking Derrick Henry get injured? You're putting him up as a replacement?
Yeah, that's the question. It's the question: should you have him on your bench or not?
Me, if it were me,
Yeah.
I don't like handcuffing the same team though.
Right.
I like handcuffing another person's star running backs. That way, when they get injured, there's benefits there. I don't think the Tennessee offense runs the same or as efficiently. Granted, I'm sure it's been running efficiently so far this year, but if Derrick Henry's out, I don't think McNichols will have as much value with running the ball.
Okay. Up next, these guys having worth in the starting lineup. This is what we're talking about. These are guys, are they worth putting in? Chase Edmonds.
Man, you can't give me softball ones. Yeah. If Arizona keeps playing like they're playing, yeah, he's splitting carries with James Conner, splitting touches, but they showed this weekend against that Rams defense that they're both able to put up productive numbers in different ways and get you points.
Speaking of James Conner.
And if you're weak on running back, you're like, I need a starter And my only options are like these bench players or these running back twos on teams. Yeah, you could roll with Chase Edmonds or James Conner because they're like a 1A, 1B.
Speaking of that, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I'd feel comfortable starting Kareem. He's shown that he can put up those numbers whether Nick Chubb does or not.
Got one more for you. A.J. Dillon.
Ooh, I had a feeling that was going to be the last name that you're going to give me. Like, you're like, I got one more, and I'm thinking, man, if we're talking running backs, that's got to be A.J. Dillon. I don't think Dillon's as involved in the passing game as much as I want him to be like to fill that Aaron Jones type role. But he did look pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, I'll say start him in a pinch.
All right, so I've got 3 tight ends. Pickups. For pickups. All right. CJ Uzama.
Yeah, with the health of Cincinnati's wide receivers, I think having another receiving threat. Yeah, I think having a receiving tight end who's going to be productive is going to add a new dimension to that Cincinnati offense, or a slightly different dimension. So I'd say pick him up. CJ Uzama.
Mo Allie-Cox.
Nope. There's something about the Indianapolis pass game. I know you got Carson Wentz there, but who's your number 1 wide receiver? Is it
Pittman?
Pascal? Is it Pittman?
I think it's Pittman.
But who really knows?
I get you.
Yeah, I don't trust that one.
One more for you. Max Williams.
If Kyler Murray keeps balling out, yeah, he's going to be an intriguing one to pick up.
All right, I've got 3 tight ends. Can you rely on them as a starter? All right. First one, Dawson Knox.
Trending in the right direction. So that tight end position is tough because you're thinking they could get 3 to 5 receptions. It's more of a touchdown dependent position than your running back and your wide receivers are. So if you're going for the upside, you want a quarterback who can throw 40 touchdowns in a season. And right now, that's looking like Josh Allen. So I would say Dawson Knox, yes, you can start him.
Actually, I'm going to make it 4 tight ends. All right, next one, Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry, man, him and Jonnu Smith, it's very tough to trust when you have 2 tight ends of that caliber, and it becomes more difficult to trust when you realize that your head coach is Bill Belichick and he doesn't care about fantasy for anything. So I have a hard time with either of them.
Noah Fant.
Who's quarterback?
Fair enough. All right, one more. I think this one's an easy one. Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz has been a surprising revelation for the Dallas offense. And we had a conversation earlier today in which you dropped some knowledge on me and you informed me that
in non-PPR leagues,
Dalton Schultz is the number 2 tight end. And
in PPR leagues, he's number 4.
Who were we thinking in the beginning of the year were the top 3 for the position? We're thinking Kelsey and then some order of Kittle and Waller. I didn't have Dalton Schultz in the top 10. He wasn't even top 15.
Most people didn't have Dalton Schultz in the top 15.
Right. Like, a lot of people out there were thinking, like, Jarwin's going to be the Dallas tight end you want to own.
We told somebody. We informed somebody. Don't pick Blake Jarwin. Pick Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz. And maybe we should have done that instead of giving this free pick away where it's clearly worked out for him as long as he's been starting.
Should have let them pick Blake Jarwin and pick up Dalton Schultz off of waivers.
Yeah, so I'd say yes. Dalton Schultz, ride it while it's hot. That Dallas offense is humming. Dak Prescott's just whipping
And
the ball
he's
around.
got Dak's trust.
That's big.
All right. Moving on. We're both going to do our who do we trust, who don't we trust. I'm going to start off.
Are we
who I
recapping
trust
last
this
week?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Recapping last week. Again, I'll start off because we had cash receipts here. All right. Starting off with my who I trusted. I trusted Joe Burrow. Think that worked out. I said Sony Michel or Darrell Henderson, whichever one got the start. Henderson got the start, which means that worked out. Jamar Chase worked out. Travis Kelce did not. They decided to just throw the ball to Tyreek Hill the whole time. It is what it is. Sean, how'd you do on your trusting?
Well, I was right with my Thursday pick.
What about your quarterback?
Quarterback, Captain Kirk Cousins. Cleveland did a good job of shutting down that running game. That didn't help Captain Kirk.
Someone might have told you this was going to happen.
I know. Kirk only threw for 208.
Pretty sure someone said that was going to happen.
Yeah, I should talk to that person more. Kirk did not pan out for me, but James Robinson did.
Yes, he did. What about Brandon Cooks?
Brandon Cooks, man. 7 targets, 5 receptions, 47 yards. Ouch. If it wasn't as if Davis Mills was looking elsewhere. Cook had nearly half of the team's receptions. He had over half the receiving yards. He had a third of the targets. He was just too busy getting smothered by that Buffalo defense.
Yep.
So,
and
too
then,
bad.
You keep trying to ride Kyle Pitts.
I am, man. Yeah, Kyle Pitts. Washington allows 374 yards offense and 30 points to Atlanta. Unfortunately, Matt Ryan only had eyes for Cordero Patterson. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I've been wrong on just about every day on Atlanta, with the exception of Mike Davis. You just can't trust him. So,
you should probably avoid Atlanta.
Man, I am 1 for 3 with my trust this past week.
All right, going to who we didn't trust. I'll start again. My QB. Oh yeah. Kirk Cousins. One of us had to be right.
Absolutely. Too bad I was the wrong one, but yeah.
Now, I've almost never been so happy to be wrong than with my running back who I did not trust. And that was Ezekiel Elliott, who basically gave me the finger while he was running for 140, I think 9 yards or something like that, and had some receptions. And what was that? And I think 2 touchdowns. No, 1 touchdown. Regardless, then DJ Moore also gave me the finger. My logic was wrong. Joe Brady, hats off to you. He schemed DJ Moore away from Trayvon Diggs. That's what good coordinators do. They get their good players away from the best defensive player. And then I was right about Evan Ingram. That guy's poo-poo kachoo right now. How about you? How'd you do?
We may debate this one, but I think I got my quarterback right with Derek Carr.
I'm just saying. I'm willing to concede it to you because he did throw for under 200 yards.
Not only did he throw for under 200 yards, there were 25 other quarterbacks this weekend that threw for more yards than he did.
Did they throw for 2 touchdowns?
Some of them did, yes. Yes, they did.
I'm just saying, the 2 touchdowns, a little bit of an offset.
No, not when you consider how well all of the other quarterbacks had played this weekend. The numbers they put up.
I'm with you. Now, no, he did have an interception, so that does put you in your favor. I'm saying that we're going to give it to you, but it is a technicality in some aspects. All right. Moving on.
All right. Well, this one I
How about
lost.
your running
I
backs?
lost twice on this one, so that kind of makes up for you giving me Derek Carr. I said, Chase Edmonds, James Conner, don't trust against that Rams defense. Now, for the first half, I would have been so right. Now, unfortunately, games are 4 full quarters, not
Yep.
just 2. And I was wrong on both of these because Edmonds got 120 on the ground, another 19 on 4 catches. Connor only got 50 yards on the ground, but he also got 2 TDs. And anytime you get 2 TDs from a skilled player, no matter how many yards they're getting, 2 TDs for a wide receiver, tight end, running back, that matters. That's good. So I missed on both of those big time. Moving on, wide receiver.
You did get your wide receiver.
He was declared out prior to the game, so that wasn't planned. I wasn't going for the injury guy.
If they don't play, they can't get yards.
So, if you set your rosters whenever you listen to this episode, you're welcome. And then
Evan
Engram, 5 of 27 on 6 targets. Now, if I had told you that Evan Engram was going to get 5 receptions in the game, you're probably thinking, man, that's going to be a pretty productive day because even if you're averaging 8 yards, you got like 40 yards in the game, potential for a touchdown.
That's a Jason curl route.
Nope. Just another tight end with receptions, but no yardage.
Okay. Onward to this week. And I'm going to go with who I trust. So my QB, I'm going with Kyler Murray versus the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco has no corners. Kyler Murray has a lot of weapons. Arizona likes to pass the ball.
Simple math.
This is not rocket science. Next up, my running back, I'm going Dalvin Cook. Dalvin had a rough game. The previous one against Cleveland. Cleveland's a good defense. The Lions are not. Dalvin's probably going to be mad, and he's probably going to run with his hair on fire. Dalvin Cook's probably going to be a good option. Next up, I've got Stephon Diggs against KC. Stephon Diggs just hasn't had that game yet this year. This is that game. KC doesn't like to cover the wide receivers. Buffalo does like to pass the ball a little bit, and Stephon Diggs is pretty darn good. And then for tight end, like you told me, Green Bay doesn't like covering tight ends. So CJ Uzama gonna have a day just like he did last week. Who you're trusted?
All right, my trust quarterback. He's going against Buffalo, and Buffalo's pitched 2 shutouts.
Low-hanging fruit.
I know. It's Patrick Mahomes, right? You're thinking low-hanging fruit, but do not overthink matchups when you have a player of Patrick Mahomes' caliber. So even though you see Mahomes going against Buffalo, you put him in. I don't care if Buffalo's had 9 straight shutouts. You're putting Patrick Mahomes in. There's no exception. You go down with the ship.
Next up,
running back Saquon Barkley.
Give me reasoning.
I think Barkley's back. He wasn't as effective running the ball against New Orleans, but what I like in a running back is majority of the carries and gets those receptions, and that's where he did his damage. His damage with receiving. So you have a counter argument.
Oh no, I'm just saying that Dallas has been good, very good against running backs this year. But to your point, if it's about receiving, I could see that being a thing. If you're talking about him getting yards in the receiving game, because I don't see him having a big game on the ground. They've kept the last three weeks, they've held teams under 100 yards rushing. But again, teams have been throwing because they've been going from a catch-up perspective. So, I mean, I'm sure Barkley will get his touches. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, wide receiver. This one's been hurt a little bit. Jamar Chase.
And like I said, we'll see.
And Green Bay's without their top pass rushers, Darius Smith and IR potentially for the season. Their top defensive
Preston Smith.
player. Preston Smith had a little injury. Top defensive player on that team, Jair Alexander, is truly questionable with an AC joint injury, to the point where the team needs further discussions. Do we risk playing him? Do we sit him? Does he need surgery? What does it look like? And I just think there's a lot of uncertainty with the Green Bay defense and with how well Cincinnati is playing. Man, I don't want to see him tear up Green Bay, but I think he's going to have a pretty good day. I don't want it, though. I want to be wrong. And my tight end is going to be Philadelphia Eagle, Dallas Goedert. We saw what Dalton Schultz just did to that Carolina defense last week. So, Dalton Schultz.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Next up, my not the trust. These are guys, and I'm going out on a limb here. I normally do. I'm sorry if it doesn't work out for you, but these are my thoughts. First up, quarterback, Jalen Hurts, garbage time king. I think Carolina's very good against the pass. We'll see how it goes because Philadelphia may be playing from behind, unlike Dallas. That's why Dak wasn't putting up big numbers. But there's other quarterbacks that haven't put up big numbers against Carolina, and Carolina's won those games. Next up, I'm saying Austin Eckler going against that Browns defense. That Browns defense is rough, man. So, I mean, we'll see if Eckler can really do much, but they're pretty darn stingy. Then we have Deontay Johnson. Denver's got a very good secondary and a very good pass rush, which means Ben's going to have to get the ball out quickly, and I don't see these yards after the catch happening, so I don't think Deontay Johnson's going to have a big game. And lastly, I have Gerald Everett. The Rams just have good linebackers. They've got good safety play. I don't think Everett's going to actually have much room. Russell's going to have to rely on the big play to make things happen.
Lockett, Metcalf, yeah.
Who you got going with your don't trust?
Now, before I get to mine, I think you looked at my team and you just started picking out people in my starting lineup. Pretty sure that's what you were doing.
It's not what I did, I swear.
And next week's Do Not Trust will be my entire starting lineup.
I just realized when I was doing that, I was like, oh, Sean's going to see this. And he's going to be like, wait. You trying to sabotage my squad?
I can't hate. I can only hope that you're wrong on all these. I agree with you in the sense that Cleveland's defense has really been heating up. And my quarterback not to trust is Justin Herbert going against that Cleveland defense because Cleveland, they got to Justin Fields week 2. They got to Kirk Cousins week 3. I just got to give in.
Note, everybody, we picked the Chargers to win this game, by the way.
Yeah. Let's keep that in mind, yeah. But that's the great thing about fantasy. I don't need these guys.
No.
They don't need to win in real life. That doesn't get me points. Well, their stats do. But
and they could have a bad fantasy game and still win.
They absolutely could. I mean, look at Tom Brady, no touchdowns.
Right.
Still get the dub.
Right. Look at Ezekiel Elliott the first 2 weeks of the year.
Yep. Crazy world this is, but I don't like Justin Herbert this week against that Cleveland defense. My running back, we could argue position eligibility, but it's Cordero Patterson. I appreciate Arthur Smith's creativity and how they're using Patterson, how they're getting him touches. I just don't believe it has long-term value because the number of touches and offensive snaps that he was on the field for, it just doesn't make sense.
Maybe they figured out how to use him.
It only took how many years, but someone finally figured it out.
Well, one of the people who had him was Matt Nagy, so let's not knock him too much.
Yep, we'll have the same conversation about Mitch Trubisky in a while, too.
I bet.
Uh,
All right, wide receiver.
Wide receiver not to trust is going to be Denver Bronco Cortland Sutton. Now, while Pittsburgh's offense is a complete hot mess, that defense has actually been performing pretty well.
And Drew Lock's throwing the ball.
Now, if Teddy B is throwing the ball, I'm still not big with Cortland Sutton. If Drew Lock is throwing him the football,
definitely no.
No, I just don't like Sutton's odds. Nope.
All right.
And my tight end not to trust, Green Bay Packer, Robert Tonyan.
Really?
You know, you have Marquez Valdez-Scantling on IR, so the Packers need more from their wide receivers, or like the whole group of anybody who can catch a football. Devontae Adams is going to get his. Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb may fill in to collectively take on that number 2 receiver role, but they still heavily involve Aaron Jones in the passing game.
Yep.
And when I look at Robert Tonyan, you're thinking, man, if there's a game that he's going to show up, it's got to be this week, because with the talent that Green Bay has a wide receiver. But you look at his stats for this year. Robert Tonyan has under 10 receiving yards in 3 of his 4 games. And in 2 of those games, he had multiple receptions. So that means he caught the ball at least 2 times, and he still couldn't travel more than 10 yards. For me, that just, until he shows something, consistency, until we see something where he's going to be utilized, he's going to be touchdown dependent. So if you're in a pinch, like he's the only guy that's left on the waiver wire, like, hey, go for it. But if you have a better option, someone who's higher on the pecking order when it comes to targets, go with him rather than Robert Tonyan.
All right. That's all we wrote this week, folks. Again, you want to have some opinions on our opinions? I told you, I urge you to get at us.
Mm-hmm.
Ush Elliott and the Cat Daddy at Instagram, and then it is Ush Elliott and the Cat Daddy on the Twitterverse.
Pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Say what's up to us. Yell at us. Come at us, bro.
We can handle it. Don't worry.
All right, Sean, words of wisdom.
Don't listen to me. Or listen to me. I don't know.
All right, my words of wisdom. Waivers are not like Skittles or Chiclets or whatever people be popping. All right? Be careful, research, and pick your moment.
Waivers are not like Skittles.